What's going on, everyone? My name is Henry from Ahead of the Curve. On today's show, we're going to review Terminator Dark Fate. It's been 5 years since this thing released, and honestly, no one's talking about it. To be fair, it's also the 40th anniversary of the first Terminator film, so you may be asking yourself, why aren't you reviewing that movie? Despite all the Terminator video games and movies surrounding me at this very moment, despite that, I'm not the biggest fan of the Terminator. With all that being said, cue the intro. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba, I'm loving it. I don't know why I'm singing that. I'm supposed to be reading a synopsis here. Terminator Dark Fate. The film is set 25 years after the events of Terminator 2. When the machines send an advanced Terminator back in time to 2020 with instructions to kill Danny Ramos, whose fate is connected to the future. The Resistance also sends Grace, an augmented soldier, back in time to defend Danny, who is also joined by Sarah Connor and Skynet's T-800. This movie, Terminator Dark Fate, opens with what was perhaps the biggest fuck you to John Connor. Psych. I'm cool with moving forward with new takes on old characters. This one didn't really deserve to flop like it did. Yeah, I'm okay with the tiny Mexican lady replacing one of your favorite white characters from the 80s and 90s. I'm okay with that. Whoa, people, I'm just fucking around. After such a huge gut punch of an opening, this shit pulled me in, okay? And early on, we're introduced to Grace, who is honestly a really good addition to the cast. Initially, we believe that Grace is our main character, our protagonist, if you will. But spoiler alert, by the end of this film, just like in Terminator 1, the person we start out with is, well, no longer a protagonist by the end. And I gotta be real, people, she saves this couple who are about to be arrested for nothing, absolutely nothing. While they're saying thank you, she literally sizes homie up. Okay, yeah, I've been in this position before. For example, back in the day in my school, there was this thing where people would ask you what size you are because, well, they might be interested in what you have. Let's just say that. So when I saw that, I'm getting flashbacks of like grade school, holding my possessions really tight. Like, yeah, no, I'm good. At least she didn't leave him ass naked, okay? So, props to you, Grace.
Don't thank me yet.
And even though it's common for films to get, political, they try to say something about what's going on in current events, I think that this film mostly does it justice. I don't feel like it was like in your face. I believe it was the first Purge where they had this huge reference to our current president elect, who's due to take office in less than 2 months at this point. So anyway, not to get political here, but it definitely shines a light on, the struggles of an immigrant trying to cross over into a new country. I will say that. For example, Diego Luna plays the Rev 9 in this film. Diego Luna plays the Rev 9 in this film, which of course is the Terminator trademark. You gotta get that trademark. But I will say, Diego Luna as the antagonist of the film, who's also a Hispanic character, it really do be young people. Now, Diego Luna definitely has a bit of an advantage here because he can reference all the previous, incarnations of the Terminator. I will say, yes, he has that advantage, but the way this character can sort of turn it on and turn it off to really blend in, especially in the first and second acts.
Expect a big pain, brother. The whole body's a weapon. Sorry.
So let's get into some plot shit really quickly. After we meet Grace, we're quickly introduced to Danny. Although she lives with her dad and brother, she's definitely the one in charge here, and it's sort of just to, establish her character, and we're going to build from there, of course. And then he arrives. Not Arnold Schwarzenegger, not yet at least. I'm talking about Diego Luna's character. Rev 9 just drops in, and I mean, he's just smooth, man. I don't know what to tell you, people, okay? He won me over instantly. Had nothing to do with him being naked, I don't think. I might be crushing on Diego Luna a little bit, but you know what? I gotta say, this motherfucker is charming. Even when he's scary as fuck. Rev 9 ends up killing Danny's father, gets intel on where to find her, and then shows up at their fucking job. Luckily, at this point, Grace is brought back in, and we get this awesome fight scene. Yeah, people, in my opinion, this movie looks really great in general. I didn't mind the CGI in this one bit. And after that shit right there, okay, then we get this cool ass car chase. It's not better than like a Terminator 2 car chase. I don't want to hype it too much, but people, this got my nipples hard, okay? I'll just say that. There's this moment in the car chase where we have Grace, Danny, her brother, all running from the Rev 9. There's a small moment where Grace tells Danny, and only Danny, excluding her brother, to put on the seatbelt. Immediately, the bro looks over like, the fuck? What about me? And at that point, I really knew his fate was sealed. I'm sorry, his dark fate was sealed. As predicted, he's not long for this world, so I guess the movie has a cap on how many characters we can have at one time, because now that we've killed the brother, here comes Linda Hamilton, Sarah Connor. Okay, say what you want, it looked cheesy in the trailers, at least that's how I thought. But once I saw the movie and the way they played this off, I think it's kind of badass, okay? This was well deserved, especially after the bullshit into her character in Terminator 3. Fuck, Terminator 5 as well. Oh, man. In short, I found it cheesy, but oh, so good. And while we're talking about her reintroduction to the series, I was cool with the previous shit. But her old ass probably shouldn't leave the keys in the ignition because they just leave her ass right there after she saves them. I mean, I guess it's really Grace's idea. Danny's sort of just along for the ride, but damn. I mean, shit, can you get her name at least? Something. Thank you, lady with rocket launcher. I mean, was that so hard? But hey, it's Sarah Connor. We know she's going to catch up at some point. Of course, she does when it's very inopportune for Grace, who's shutting down. We haven't gotten into it yet, but Grace is sent from the future. Yeah, shit looks rough. Not for me. I wouldn't have made it in this world at all. And in that future, she's been what's called augmented. She's a bit of an android, okay? She's a human, but she has metal parts under her skin, and she has these abilities that we wouldn't have.
No, I don't want your suffering. I don't want your future.
So now we have our trio of characters, our three leading ladies. Okay, we got Sarah, Grace, and Danny. All together in the same room. There's this sort of uneasy alliance, especially between Sarah and Grace. At one point, I'm just like, okay, ladies, zip it up, or basically, go get a room. You're already in a hotel. But this is a good time for an info dump. Suddenly, Sarah isn't calm and cool, collected like she was. Now she's this angry, just rage-filled woman who's, just talking about her alcoholism. It's not that it's bad. It just kind of felt drastically different for what we just had 5 or 10 minutes ago. And that'll be a common theme, especially once we get to the end, the climax. Some things just don't feel consistent. Moving on. This is a Terminator film, which means this is a chase film. So to be fair, plot isn't the thing they're going to focus on the most. It's more about the relationship of the characters. At this point, people, we are about halfway through the film. This is when we are reintroduced to Arnold Schwarzenegger as a T-800. In this film, he goes by Carl, who's a simple man living in Texas who has this brown family, and does drapes. Character assassination. What are we doing? We got a goddamn robot, this stiff ass robot selling drapes. Yeah, when I heard that, I kind of written this shit off already, okay? And that was wrong for me because I'm in on the joke now. This shit, at least to me, is goddamn hilarious.
So you're Carl.
That's what everyone calls me, yes.
I'm never gonna fucking call you Carl.
And more than that, honestly, this portrayal he's a human damn near, okay? There's really no way around it. It's a great continuation of Terminator 2, even though that version of the character was destroyed at the end. So yeah, I'm down with another twist on a classic character. Yeah, he talks about drapes and curtains, but he fucking delivered. We expected not this. And people, the cherry on top for me, at least, is that now Sarah, she must now work with the T-800 that killed her son. Yeah, can you believe that shit? Same fucking one. So Danny, I haven't mentioned her a lot. At this point, at Carl's house, we sort of have our moment to breathe and, reload, I guess, if you will. This is when Danny has her call to action, so to speak. Which helps, but it's not like she's given a lot to do. She has her big speech moment, and then she sort of just waits until, like, the very fucking end to actually do something. As I mentioned earlier, Dark Fate released after the 35th anniversary of the first film. So for a legacy sequel, which this is, I appreciate they're trying to avoid some of the cliches. For example, we all know I'll be back. It's iconic. It's such a simple line and it just carries fucking weight. In this case, we had I won't be back, which, I can see some of you cringing or getting ready to type on your fucking keyboard. And then moments later, we have Arnold walking past a mirror and his sunglasses. For a moment, he picks them up, the music's kicking in, and he's like, nah, don't need it. Character assassination is what they yelled. I'm just like, calm the fuck down. It's just someone else's reinterpretation. And in this case with the Terminator, it would have been cheesy to put on the shades. It's not 35 years ago, bro. At this point, we're geared up for the third act here, okay? So somehow Sarah, she has this military contact who can get her an EMP. A man named Major Bingham. Don't get attached, just saying. He casually just hands over Sarah an EMP. Homie gets shot, okay? So is the goddamn EMP. So it's like, well, shit, alright. If I'm not mistaken, they didn't kill him off, so I'm not gonna con it as a sacrificial Negro syndrome, which I am gonna update the term. It's now gonna be known as sacrificial minority syndrome. So that heads up for you returning viewers. You know what, folks? It's time for a huge reveal, okay? Before our climactic fight, we get a little bit more of Grace's background. So we see how she was recruited into the military service. We see her get horribly injured to where she volunteers for the augmentation process. But here's the real kicker, folks. All right. Her leader in her future is Danny. Okay? Understand that, people. So she's sent back in time by her mentor to save her mentor's younger self, who can then become the mentor in the future. All right, so yeah, classic Terminator, just trying to twist your mind shit. And this might be too woke for some of you, but hey, I didn't mind the fact that she is no longer the new Sarah Connor, and it turns out she's the John Connor of this story.
Is that our fate? Well, fuck fate.
It's time for a good old action scene. I won't shy away from this. The airplane sequence, fucking dope, okay? We have Zero G, parachuting Humvees, another plane crashing into the plane mid-air, and the people are just casual as fuck about it. Never mind that, okay? This shit it's just fun. Fucking Logic left the building a long time ago, people. I don't know what to tell you. Yet somehow, people, I was able to ride with all that. But it kind of upset me once this ended. They end up crash landing hard, okay? And everyone but Sarah, who was quickly healed, by the way, everyone's just A-OK, ready to go. They didn't waste more than 30 seconds of Sarah saying, ow, my shoulder. And it's just, we're good. Let's go. Come on, man. What are we doing? Jesus. Danny's okay too? I'd be mistaken if I didn't con how dark the color grading is during some of this, especially during the parachuting portion. Like when they're outside, I guess it's realistic because in movies the moon is just a great fucking light source for everything. You can see fucking pimples on people's faces. I will say it might be a little bit more realistic, but like your movie, we need to see what's happening. At least somewhat. If you're trying to hide horrible CG, that's something different. I mean, I gotta see something more than just like the faint outline of like Grace's tank top, okay? It's just. But back to the action. Grace ends up catching a bad one. So she's getting ready to lay down her life. And just before she has a chance to go through with that, Arnold comes back to sort of save the moment. He's sort of been missing the last, I don't know, 10 minutes or so. But he's back. He's here to save the day. Another pro, Sarah's robo-racism. It hasn't left the building just yet. I appreciate that she approaches the third act a very unchanged woman.
Why not just let me have her?
Because we're not machines, you metal motherfucker.
I'm sorry, people. I'm giving a pro to robo-racism. Once the AI takes over, I'm going to regret the statement. I'm sorry. Ahead of time. But, people, let me get into a con here. Because all the pros I had to say about Diego Luna's character, how smooth he was, and how he blended in, made me laugh, made me chuckle, it's simply just not there anymore. He's got nothing to say. He's just an instrument now. And worse, for the climactic fight, I don't believe I've mentioned it at all in the review. Maybe it showed up in some clips. But this Terminator, the Rev 9, has the ability to duplicate. So at any given time, there can be two versions of that same character just out and about running amok. This motherfucker just decides to bring out that ability way too fucking late. Like, if that was me, that's our standard mode. 2 is better than 1 as far as I'm concerned. Fucking, you go that way, I'll go this way. Let's meet in the middle. And people, they fuck him up, by the way. It is glorious to see. It was fun. I appreciated that, but logically, it's inconsistent, which I mentioned earlier. And he really has so many opportunities to kill Sarah in particular. Somehow he just can't kill the old bitch. I don't know why. And now, to turn the tide, Grace, who is still fucked up in a bad condition, she is really ready to commit to that self-sacrifice. At this point, she goes full Kyle Reese from Terminator 1. By dying, of course. Her sacrifice does directly lead to the victory. Arnold also sacrifices himself to ensure Danny and Sarah's survival. In my opinion, it is a legit scene, okay? I thought that was really well done. It's nowhere near the demise of the character in Terminator 2. Yes, that's gonna be hard to fucking beat, but hey, this was a close second, at least in my opinion. And Sarah Connor, the robo-racist herself, she even looks remorseful to see Carl dead at the end. So, there's a little bit of growth there, even though I gave it a pro earlier. Sarah and Danny head off, and then we cut to some time later where Danny is now watching a young Grace play in the park with her family. Honestly, a little bit of a nice touch there. She's sort of like her guardian angel of sorts. Things are looking positive. Sarah tosses Danny the keys to the Jeep, which I interpreted as sort of like the passing of the torch. Now Danny's in charge, getting ready to lead the way in future sequels, which, another spoiler alert, it's been 5 years. I don't think we're getting a sequel to this film. I don't think they're going to wrap up a trilogy at all. That has been this franchise's issue since T2. There's always talks of this coming trilogy. And then we have the infamous reboot film immediately after. It's just This is a weird fucking cycle. And no pun intended, but this series is sort of caught in a time loop. I really don't know where we can go from here. Even with Terminators, with the antagonists. Like, Rev 9's are pretty fucking terrifying, to be honest with you. Where are we going from here? Who knows, people? It's been 40 years of this franchise. This is our first Terminator film that we reviewed. Yes, I probably should have reviewed the Terminator. Yes, it can still happen. I don't really need a solid round number to do it. I can just do this whenever. So if that's something you really want to see, let me know. Okay, people, with that being said, let's get into the rating. For this film, Terminator Dark Fate, I'm going to go with a low added to the collection. Okay, this is about as low as I can go for that rating. It was almost a really high stream it, but overall I think my pros were enough to knock it into the next category. Overall, yeah, Terminator Dark Fate, far from perfect, but I definitely recommend that you check it out and make your own opinion. With that being said, folks, it's time to wrap up the video. I can't thank you enough. Please like, comment, subscribe, all that shit. It really does help me grow, and I appreciate all of you. My name is Henry from Ahead of the Curve, and I'm signing out, y'all. Deuces. Hey, it's me again, the guy from the thing you just watched. Or fell asleep on, and you know who you are. Either way, I just need to say thank you so much. You deserve a reward. So, here you go. And while we're here, please consider subscribing, leaving a comment, and most definitely check out another video. Perhaps this one right here? Or maybe that one over there. The choice is entirely up to you. And that is the Ahead of the Curve promise.